Hello everyone, Silva here. Welcome to my thread tutorial introduction video. In this series, as promised in the last story video, I will show you how to use the FreeSpace Editor thread and how to create missions with it. This video will just be a first introduction to the editor itself, and in subsequent videos I will go into detail about each and every part of it that is needed to create a FreeSpace mission. Okay, first question of course, how to start this editor? Well, you need FreeSpace Open installed and ideally the NoSource installer as well, and I will go with the NoSource installer for that demonstration. So, go to the mod that you want to have as a parent for your own mission, because by selecting the mod you determine which models and textures and so on will be loaded into the editor. Go to the details screen of this mod and go to the options button, click it and then select Run Thread 2. When you start Thread you will get a screen like this. You will see a black void with a grid on it and one single ship. That's the default ship that the editor will always add to a completely new mission. So let's start with the camera movement. With the buttons A and Z or A and Y depending on your keyboard layout, you can move the camera forward and backward. The rest of the camera movement is done with the numpad keys. With 1 and 3 you can move the camera left and right. With 8 and 2 you can turn the camera up and down, and with 4 and 6 you can turn the camera left and right. The speed of all of those camera movements can be controlled with the options in the speed menus. If you have to get the camera to a point where you can get overview over the whole map, then you need to move it fast, but if you want to move it very precisely, you may want to switch to a lower movement speed. There are also the Zoom Selected and Zoom Extends buttons in the toolbar. With Zoom Selected you will get to a viewpoint where you can see all of the items you have currently selected, while Zoom Extends will put you to a viewpoint where you can see everything that is currently on your map. Okay, so now you can move the camera. Now we have to put some stuff into our map. That's really simple. You just have to select the right model you want to place into the map with the drop-down box in the top toolbar. Select it and then control-click somewhere in the grid and you will place this ship into the map on a level of 0 on the y-axis and at some point on the x and z axis depending on where you click. If you want to place multiple objects of the same class, continue control clicking and you will get multiple objects. So now you may want to move then to more precise formation or precise position. You can do this by simply dragging and dropping, but you have to select the right axes to move around. By default, the X and Z axes will be selected, but if you want to change the Y axis, you have to change that selection by clicking the right button in the toolbar. You can also change to the rotate function by clicking the right button in the toolbar and then as well select the axis on which you want to rotate the object and then simply drag and drop and rotate your ships around the selected axis. If you double click an object you will get to the detailed editor screen for that particular object. I will go into detail about these editors in a separate video, but for the moment this is the place where you edit all the details of an object. As I said, I will go into details about the editor screens in separate videos, but let's get an overview. First, there's the ships editor. As I said, you can access that by double clicking one of the objects in your map, but you can also use the menu band and then use the next or previous buttons to select the ship you want to edit. The next one is the Twinks Editor, which groups several ships into a wing and then overrides some of the aspects from the ships editor, so it is kind of similar to the ships editor. The objects editor gives you an opportunity to very precisely control position and orientation of the objects in your map, but it is used rarely because usually you don't have to be that precise and just drag and drop the objects within the map itself. With the Waypoints Path Editor you can create sequences of waypoints for objects to follow, which is useful in certain special situations. The mission's objectives editor is quite important because there you set the goals for the player to achieve in this mission. You can set primary goals which have to be completed, secondary goals which can be completed but don't have to, and bonus goals which are hidden at first and then can be completed. The events editor is the most powerful tool in this application because it allows it to do everything in a mission which reacts on certain triggers and executes certain actions. From playing dialogue messages to completely altering the whole setting of a mission, everything happens here which makes the mission more than just a simple dogfight. So this editor will certainly be the topic of several upcoming videos. Team Loadout allows you to select which assets are available to the player before the mission starts. Background allows you to create background images for the map itself, so it is not just a simple empty star field. With reinforcements you can configure reinforcements. Then the asteroid field editor, which allows you to configure asteroid fields or debris fields for the map. The mission specs editor allows you to set certain global flags for the mission and add some metadata to it. The briefing, debriefing and command briefing editors are then once again very important because there you tell the player what the background for this mission is and what he or she has to do in this mission, and in the debriefing you react when the mission is over on how he or she has performed in the mission. This is very important to tell a story, but also to convey the information what the player has to do in the mission. The fiction viewer option is something added by the SCP team, which in addition to command briefing, briefing and debriefing is another option to convey something of the story or the background for the mission. The shield system and global flags editors are only useful in very specific situations, so we'll not go into detail about them here. Voice acting is important, but only at the very end of a project if you want to have voice acting for this mission. And the campaign editor is then important when you have multiple missions and want to put them in a series in a campaign. So I will not go into detail about that here as well. Another thing I want to show you is in the miscellaneous menu, the error checker, which can give you a first overview if you have made any mistakes while creating your mission. It's kind of a rudimentary check, cannot get everything, but it's a first idea if you made everything right. Okay, so much for a first introduction. Of course, there's much more to this application as it is very powerful, especially the events options. But as I said, that's a topic for separate videos, so please stay tuned for those videos. And in the meantime, if you want to learn more about threading, please visit the thread portal in the FreeSpace Wiki, link in the video description. So thank you for watching this video, see you again in the next one if you like to, and until then, take care and goodbye!